Tony, that's insane when you say 48 years. Tony, when you were around Jim, I've read Jim's books, and the stuff his voice, he sounded like Johnny Carson, by the way, right?
Yeah.
If you put them together, it's like that area of Johnny Carson type of voice. What a great storyteller, right? Yeah. The speed, the pacing. But when you're around Jim, like, we can spend time here, and then I can be in a room watching you negotiate, and then I can be in the room on Monday morning watching you run your leadership meeting, and then I can watch you when shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a different Tony, right?
Yeah.
This is camera, everything that's there. When you worked with Jim, how close did you get to him where you saw certain things he did that maybe we've not even read about in books? Was there certain ways he ran meetings? Did he ever have a tough conversation? If he did, what was his approach for having a tough conversation? What made Jim so unique behind closed doors?
Well, I got close to him because I became the top guy in his company very quickly. But his company fell apart right at that time. He had all these offices in California, like 10 offices. They had about 20 salespeople in each. And I accelerated. I did better than anybody there only because it wasn't for me about money. It was about mission. It was about, I wanted to change lives. I was a zealot, and I found the way, and I was so persistent. And so I moved up in his company, and then gradually they called me one day, and the goal was to be an area sales director. You had your own office and 30 people. And they called me and said, Tony, we want to move you up. You're the best in the whole country. We want to sit down with you and chat with you. So that's when I got to sit down with Jim. And he said, you're unbelievable. This is what you've done. And he says, we're having a little bit of a change here. And he goes, how would you like to take on a city in LA? I said, I'd love to. He goes, what city do you want? I grew up poor, so I went, Beverly Hills, thinking they were giving me the money. And then he goes, how many people do you want? I said, 30. It's the most anybody had, right? He goes, okay. He goes, when do you want to start? I said, tomorrow. He goes, great, you're in. I said, okay, who do I call to get the check? He goes, oh no, it's called phase 2. We have this new program where you're in charge. It's your business. You hire me to come in. You're a broker and you fill the event all by yourself, and then you keep half the profits.
So the $35, you sell it out, 500 people come in, whatever that number is, 17,500. You keep 8, he keeps 80, whatever the number is.
1,000 people, but yes. But I'd never put 1,000 people in a room before, right? The theory was you put 30 people in the room and you followed up and you sold his other products and services. That was the business it was in. But I learned to book myself 3 times a day. I talked to groups where there was supposed to be 20 people there and 4 showed up and 2 were drunk. And I learned how to just take control and make an impact. And I filled these events up, and I had my own business. All of a sudden, I was a broker in business. So he made that happen. So the answer to your question was, he was very separate. He had built his business in a network marketing business originally. And so he was protected, and no one really was around Jim. But I got a chance later in life to get more connected to him when he was feeling his mortality, and I spoke at his funeral. And he was just a very, very loving man who found answers that were common sense. And he was really moved by delivering them to people the same way I am in my life, but a very different style, as you know, than I do. He talked 1/10 my speed, right? And he had this great rhythm. He was I look at him as a business philosopher is really what he was. But I learned so much from him, and it was a good basis. But the tools that made me grow even more, he gave me the philosophy that if you want things to change, you got to change. You want things to get better, you got to get better. But what changed me was learning the tools of neurolinguistic programming from John Grinder, where I learned, how to take somebody with a lifetime phobia and wipe it out in 20 or 30 minutes.
So, but I want to stay on Jim real quick. But it's so funny. Just yesterday, I'm at the house. I'm thinking about what book to give to my son next, and I have 2 books to choose from. One of them was Leading an Inspired Life, and I give him the other one because I said, you'll read this one afterwards. My oldest son, 12 years old, loves politics, so he got a different book. That book was impactful. And the other one that he wrote, 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness, the yellow cover book. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yes.
So going back to it. So fill the room, 1,000 people. I'll come in. We'll split the ticket sales, whatever we have.
But I got to rent the hotel. I got to open the office. I got to do it all myself.
You're
none of which I've done.
So at this point, is Jim Rohn as big as Tony? Like, is he that big or no? He's not.
No.
Okay, got it. So Jim is local, 20 offices. People know within
almost all California.
Mostly California.
And we do 3 seminars every 8 weeks, right? For about 3.5 hours. My schedule's a little more intense than that.
How long did you do that with him when you were working with him?
I was with him for 17 to 21, basically 22. So about 4 or 5 years almost.
That's a great time to learn.
Unbelievable what chance to learn.
Nowadays, more than ever, the brand you wear reflects and represents who you are. So for us, if you wear a Future Looks Bright hat or a Valuetainment gear, you're telling the world, I'm optimistic. I'm excited about what's going to be happening, but you're a free thinker. You question things. You like debate. And by the way, last year, 120,000 people got a piece of Future Looks Bright gear with Valuetainment. We have so many new things. The cufflinks are here. New Future Looks Bright. This is my favorite, the green one. Just yesterday, somebody placed an order for 100 of these. If you watch the PBD podcast, you got a bunch to choose from. White ones, black ones. If you smoke cigars and you come to our cigar lounge, we have this high quality lighter cutter and a holder for the cigars. We got sweaters with the Valuetainment logo on it. We got mugs. We got a bunch of different things. But if you believe the future looks bright, if you follow our content and what we represent with Valuetainment, with PBD Podcast, go to vtmerch.com. And by the way, if you order right now, there's going to be a special VT gift inside just for you. So again, go to vtmerch.com, place your order, tell the world that you believe the future looks bright. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.